Hello, bruvs.
There it is. Now it's on.
Hello, bro.
Hello, bruvs. I'm back with more books. I've decided to put them on a shelf now because they're getting unmanageable, and it was just easier to put them on a shelf. The new arrivals, anyway, they will eventually go to their own shelves as my feet rest inside the bottom shelf. Let's start with a book, bruv. The fattest one on the planet. Castle's Dictionary of Slang, Jonathan Green. I guess that's a fucking dog. This is a terrific piece of work. Learned, entertaining, funny, stimulating, and a dictionary. Let's get a word. Do well. To be inconsiderate of others or thoughtless of oneself. Usually an ironic phrase. You do well. Dove tart. A pigeon pie. What the fuck is that, man? What's that say? Do it this? Douse the glim. Alright, I don't give a shit. I don't care, bruv. Also, I did find 3 other books in a garage, and they smell awful. These are the books. Do the Burning Steppe. Something about Russia. Trial of Charles the First, a documentary history. So yeah, and I also found John Fante's Ask the Dust, which is the most gasoline smelling of the 3. This is the Master Game Beyond. I'm not sure that this light's really working. Beyond the Drug Experience. Dr. DeRopp proves to be a masterful science writer, appealing to laymen and scientists. I don't do drugs because I am drugs, but I collect books on them. The Master Game, Pathways to Higher Consciousness Beyond the Drug Experience. A game worth playing. So I'm not really sure if this is about drugs or if it's just mental acuity. A game worth playing. This book is concerned with games and aims. It has been stated by Thomas Szasz that what people really need and demand from life is not wealth, comfort, or esteem, but games worth playing. He who cannot find a game worth playing is apt to fall prey to acidity, defined by the fathers of the church as one of the deadly sins, but not regarded as a symptom of sickness. Acidity is paralysis of the will, a failure of the appetite, a condition of generalized boredom, total disenchantment. God, oh God, how weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me all the users of this world. Such a state of mind, Szasz tells us, is a prelude to what is loosely called mental illness, which, though Szasz defines the illness as a myth, nevertheless fills half the beds in hospitals and makes multitudes of people a burden to themselves and society. What the fuck is this about? An exploration of the human psyche and of the specific technique of creative psychology through which man can achieve the highest possible levels of consciousness. Sounds boring. The Beginning and the End and Other Poems by Robinson Jeffers. Unfortunately, it's a ex-library book. But it was Jeffers' last book. It's from Wyandotte, buddy. He didn't complete it. It was finished by his secretary Melba maybe what the hell's her name? Melba Bennett. Can't remember what exactly her name is. She wrote a biography on Jeffers, too. What is this? Sad. Melba Berry Bennett, I think is her name. I don't know why she has no credit in here. Maybe she does. Don't think so. What's this? Taped to the back flap? What the hell is this? I'll just cut the back flap. There he is, Jeffers. Wagner's Hitler, the Prophet and his disciple, Joachim Kohler. Wagner's Hitler is an important and controversial contribution to the literature on Hitler's Germany. Kohler powerfully argues that Wagner's influence played a vital role in shaping the cultural context in which Nazism developed. Kohler traces the legacy of the German Romantic tradition and the irrational, egocentric, nationalistic, and intolerantly utopian features which were shared by Wagner and Hitler. He explores how Hitler discovered characters he would identify with in Wagner's work, as well as concepts he would apply to his political career, up to the point when Wagner's anti-Semitic tracts were turned into violent reality by the politician he had inspired. In a compelling study, Kohler traces Wagner's influence on Hitler from the young Austrians scraping together the price of an opera ticket to the dictator enacting his megalomaniac Wagnerian visions of a Germany. You know, I actually have a book on this guy, by this guy, on Nietzsche. I was going to mention Nietzsche because you have to when you think of Wagner, but it's called Nietzsche and Wagner, and in it, he claimed that, this is Joachim Kohler. He claimed that Wagner, or Nietzsche, was Wagner's little bitch boy, and then he made him do his laundry and stuff. And he also claimed that Nietzsche was in love with Cosima Wagner, which he may have well been. I don't know. I think the book was somewhat discredited, but I liked it. I read it. I liked it. Fireball, Carol Lombard and the Mystery of Flight 3 by Robert Mattson. I don't know what the mystery is. Is there some kind of conspiracy about it? On January 16, 1942, an airliner carrying Hollywood star Carol Lombard and 21 others crashed into a mountainside west of Las Vegas. Her husband, heartthrob Clark Gable, rushed to the scene and a desperate search and rescue mission began. Fireball, a national bestseller and winner of the Benjamin Franklin Award. His biography of the year tells the story of a weekend that stunned the nation. So is it a conspiracy? Nobody knows. Are you there? Anyway. Isn't this the guy who wrote The Confederacy of Dunces? David Foster Wallace? Or am I thinking of somebody else? A Confederacy of Dunces. Maybe not. That's a different guy, I believe. Anyways, this is supposed to be a masterpiece. Let's read the first page. I'll tell you if I hate it. I think I've read a page or two of this before, but Infinite Jest novel. For E.R.E.P. Foster. RIP. I didn't know it was all marked up. Everything about everything. Infinite Jest 20 years later. I don't care about what you have to say. Jesus Christ, this book is marked up. I am seated in an office surrounded by heads and bodies. My posture is consciously congruent to the shape of my hard chair. This is a cold room in university administration. Wood-walled, Remington hung, double-windowed against the November heat. Insulated from administrative sounds by the reception area outside, at which Uncle Charles, Mr. DeLint, and I were lately received. I am in here. 3 faces have resolved into place above summer weight sports coats and half Windsors across a polished pine conference table, shiny with the spidered light of an Arizona noon. These are 3 deans. This is already boring me. This book is not a follow-up to The Exorcist, but somewhat of a paranormal. I think I have a copy of it, but I didn't know since it doesn't have a barcode, and I only have bar-coded books cataloged. Now, William Peter Blatty has written a novel that transcends The Exorcist in suspense, scaring power and intensity. A young boy, a deaf mute, is found horribly murdered in a mock crucifixion. The kindly aging detective assigned to the case sees it not only as a crime, one that calls for all his skill and intuition as an investigator, but as part of a larger, more baffling mystery, whether or not a good God can exist if he tolerates such monstrous evils. Is the murderer the elderly woman who witnessed the crime? We don't know. This book, The Explorations of Père Marquette, I got at the Goodwill, Wayne School District. That's where I'm at, bruv. What's that say? Allen School Library? Keller School Library? No, just before I found this book, there was this girl at the place who, probably 12, 13, 14 years old, who was just standing awkwardly close and reaching in front of me. She kept moving. Wherever I moved to, she moved and just kept moving in front of me. So it's kind of weird. So I kept walking away, and I finally went and got back and got this book, and I wasn't going to get it because it's a library binding. But then I saw that it sells for 15, 20, 30 bucks. So I paid the $2 and took it. Despite the girl's insistence on creeping me out. And I mean reaching right in front of me like this. As I'm looking at books, just putting her hand in front. I was like, what are you doing? What's this? Is this a signature? Maybe the 3rd signature I got. Or 3rd signed book I got today. Books by Herbert Asbury. I don't think so. I may have this book too already. 1936. The French Quarter, An Informal History of the New Orleans Underworld by Herbert Asbury. Is that a hooker? Voodoo. Filibusters, The Terror. To me, New Orleans seems like one of the worst places on earth. But I still collect books about New Orleans. Tried to give them to a former co-worker who went to New Orleans, but he didn't want my New Orleans book, so I said, fuck it. I'll give him. And now I have a little collection going. I think I do have this book, though, The French Quarter. The French Quarter. The Quest of the Overself. I was thinking of the Ubermensch. And I saw it Plus, this book's worth 10 plus bucks, so maybe I can sell it. I don't really care to read it. I endeavor to lay bare in these pages some of the secret, subtle, but definite laws that govern the working of the inmost mind, the soul, so far as I have been able to ascertain them. Don't care. There's a book that was signed. A Hologram for the King, Dave Eggers. How's this blue stuff? Is that part of it? Dude, tell me that's not coming out of the spine. The hell is that? That is part of the fucking binding peeling off. No. Anyway, I don't care. Signed by Dave. If I can get 20, 30 bucks for it, I'll take it. Even though I do have a collection of Eggers books going. Never read a sentence of them. Hannah noticed what must have been the visible decline and fall of Alan's face. That's why I haven't read it, because I don't care about novels. But it's signed, so what am I to do? Not buy it. $2 for a signed book. It's the same place I got the signed copy of Anne Rice's book. Hologram for the King. Chasing Lincoln's Killer, James L. Swanson. I think this is nonfiction, but this story is true. All the characters are real and were alive during the Great Manhunt of April 1865. Their words are authentic and come from original sources, letters, manuscripts, trial transcripts, newspapers, government reports, pamphlet. What happened in Washington, D.C. that spring, and then the swamps and rivers, forests, blah, blah, blah. Here, readers will meet Abraham Lincoln, the man, the father, the husband, the friend, and they will get a first-hand look at how Lincoln's death impacted those closest to him. Less than a mile away. He was shot at the theater. Illuminati. Now it can be told, the story of the Manhattan Project. Story of the Manhattan Project. The basic story is a thriller as strange as any chapter in American history. Well, that's about Oppenheimer. I didn't know what the Manhattan Project was. So many of these damn Manhattan projects, the Montauk Project. The story of the Manhattan Project. Now it can be told. Recently, several television dramas have examined the personalities and events of the atomic bomb project in Los Alamos. Ward Number 6 and Other Stories by Anton Chekhov. Copy was too new not to get it. There was also a copy of War and Peace there, but I believe I have that. If I don't, then I don't. This book I only got because it got a nude art on the cover, which is rather nice. Not in a sexually perverted way, but a nice female form. The Notebooks of Don Rigobatto. I don't know if this is supposed to be fiction, real. Man, a god when he dreams, barely a beggar when he thinks. I cannot keep a record of my life through my actions. Fortune has buried them too deep. I keep it through my fantasies. Montaigne. The Notebooks of Don Rigoberto. The Return of Fanchito. The doorbell rang. Donna Lucretia went to see who was there, and like a portrait in the open doorway, with the twisted gray trees of the Olivar de San Isidro as the background, she saw the golden ringlets and blue eyes upon Cheeto's head. The world began to spin. I miss you very much, stepmama, chirped the voice she remembered so well. Are you still angry with me? I came to ask you for forgiveness. Do you forgive me? Yes, it's you, still holding the doorknob. Maybe I should have read that before I bought it, but I did not. T.C. Boyle, The Human Fly and Other Stories, a book I do have, but this motherfucker was also signed by Mr. Boyle, who I found to be an awful story writer, but he signed the book, so it's worth more than it's not. I gave her a look of naked admiration, and she was looking at me, sly and composed, looking right into my eyes. But aren't you afraid you're going to be on Professor What's-Her-Face's shit list when she finds out? See, that's why I don't like fiction. It's boring. Boring. Wilson Harris, Alan Burns, The Bookstore in America, Borders, the review of contemporary fiction. I only bought it for the piece on Borders books, which, when you think about Borders books, it's hard to believe the motherfucker went out of business when they basically had everything. They had the entire country. And somehow, probably they're... But I think they merged with Amazon because they were already struggling. Anyway, I bought it to find out what was going on with Borders books. Obviously, before their fall. Reflections on the Motive Power of Fire, Sadi Carnot. Reflections on the Motive Power of Fire, along with other papers in this volume, laid the foundation of modern thermodynamics. Highly readable. Reflections contains no arguments that depend on calculus, consisting mostly of statements couched in exact language. Not quite sure why I bought this. All the copies for sale online were $10 to $15 range, and it's basically brand new, as many of the books I bought at this one store today were. My children cannot walk from birth. When Eve gave birth to her first child, our Lord was not far away. He called to her, Eve, let your child walk to me. The mother, however, replied in her anxiety that the child might harm itself. O Lord, it is still so very weak. Well, let it be then, the Lord replied, but henceforth, neither this one nor any other child, so long as the world remains, shall be able to walk before a year has passed. Okay. It's interesting, buddy. These are original Bavarian folk tales, a Schoenwerth selection, a dual language book. Original Bayerisch Volksmärchen. What an awful cover. This is what Dover's become. Dover books. Yeah, apparently. It's fucking awful. It's an awful look. Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. I have the hardcover of this, but it said 50 cents. Now I have the softcover. Neil Gaiman. 2017. Never read it, any of it. I don't know if it's just basically like the normal fairy tales or folklore told in those terms, but I'll find out some year. This book I already have, More Homes for the Holiday. Stories by various writers in the style of Sherlock Holmes, but like I said, true to the spirit of Conan Doyle's original creation, should please Baker Street fans. Alice Roosevelt Longworth, from White House Princess to Washington Power Broker. Wasn't she a lesbian? Or is that Teddy Roosevelt's wife? No, this is Teddy Roosevelt's wife. It was FDR's wife that was supposedly the lesbian. One of the most entertaining and educational books of the past year. Strode into the White House carrying a snake and dangling a cigarette. The outspoken Alice began to put her imprint on the whole of the 20th century political scene. Her barbed tongue was as infamous as her scandalous personal life. But whenever she talked, powerful people listened. She advised her father, her husband, and her lover, a powerful senator and the father of her only child. What? Cheated on Teddy? Oh, this is his daughter. I think I've read about her before, actually. Cool. Weird looking woman. It's like a damn Russian. No Simple Victory. World War II in Europe, 1939 to 45. The Battle of Warsaw. That was the author of that. If history really belongs to the victor, what happens when there's more than one side declaring victory? In this fresh exploration of World War II, particularly focused on the role of the Soviet Union and Stalin's Red Army in the defeat of Nazi Germany, Davies replaces the widely accepted good versus evil narrative with a more complex truth, one in which victory tarnished the reputation of the West, and for most of Europe exchanged one form of totalitarian oppression for another. Yeah, war was bullshit. Should let Europe fall. Eichmann before Jerusalem, the unexamined life of a mass murderer. 1960, Adolf Eichmann took the defendant's box in Jerusalem and insisted that he was no manager of the Holocaust, as his accusers claimed. Just a small-time bureaucrat following orders. Like countless others, Hannah Arendt, covering the trials for the New Yorker, believed him. Eichmann before Jerusalem challenges this history for the first time, completely reassessing Eichmann's story and drawing upon a wealth of newly uncovered materials that reveal his great deception, as well as bringing to light shocking truths about Nazis in the post-war world. To be honest, Nazism fucking bores me, but I grabbed the books because it's better than novels. Yeah, I might be interested in Hitler, but I highly doubt it. How Proust Can Change Your Life, Alain de Botton. I have another book of his. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember it. What's his other book? Maybe I should say on the back. Oh, no, there's... It's something philosophy. What the hell is this other book called? It usually shows them. What the hell is this? A postcard? Linda Cole. 2024 new work, Silver and Gold. Don't give a shit. How Proust Can Change Your Life. Let's see if it shows the other books he wrote. The Consolations of Philosophy, that's the one I have. Sherlock Holmes and the Crosby Murder by Barry Roberts. Just a rendition of Sherlock Holmes by some other author who I have no clue who they are. The Exploits of Sherlock Holmes by Adrian Conan Doyle. I thought it was Arthur Conan Doyle. It's Adrian, his child. Collection of Sherlock Holmes adventures based on unsolved cases from the original stories by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Cool. Henry Ford. Auto Tycoon Insights and Analysis of the Man Behind the Auto Industry. This book's probably the best book I got in a while. The Black Cat made me buy it. It's just about black cats and collectibles. which are really good. Ipswich hosiery. Meow. Treat 'em rough. Join the tanks. United States Tank Corps. Night clerk. Kittens, kittens, kittens. Black kittens, more kittens. Meow. Great book. Billy Shakespeare, the man behind the genius, Anthony Holden. Don't know what this is about. It's got a specific about the man behind the genius, and yet William Shakespeare remains a stubbornly elusive character. Maybe this goes into William Bacon. Is his name Bacon? No, it's Francis Bacon, you dullard. Anyway, we'll see. And this last book, Secret Societies in Detroit by Bill Loomis. Weird thing about this book is earlier today when I made one of my videos about faces you have saw in the Detroit related book, which I've done about 10 videos of, reading each caricature drawn. There was one today that I read and it said he was in a secret society. So it'd be interesting if that personage was mentioned in this book. If he is, that might make me research him further. Still weird that I found this book. It's just published a couple years ago. All right, bruv. That's all I got today. Not all, but it's quite a bit. Was it 30 books? Whatever. Goodbye.